Welcome to episode 155 of the All Things Branson podcast, coming to you from Branson, Missouri. This is Christopher James. This week I get to talk with Yakov Smirnoff about his final season here in Branson, Missouri. That's right, the end of 2015, actually here in December, Yakov will be moving pretty much permanently to back to California there to pursue some other projects that he's had in the works for several years, and we get to talk about that, talk about his big break in comedy, the scene here in Branson, Missouri, reality shows, all sorts of fun things here, and what the future is for the Yakov Theater here in Branson. Longtime staple of Branson and host of many different shows over the years. So I hope you enjoy my podcast and my conversation with Yakov, coming to you from Branson, Missouri, here on November 1st, 2015. Enjoy the show. Well, hello, this is Christopher James with All Things Branson. I finally have the chance to talk to somebody special to me, Yakov, here in Branson, Missouri. Good to talk to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You know, I have to tell you, it was really nice finally getting to speak to you because I grew up watching young comedian specials, and you were
I was one of them, yes.
You were with Rodney Dangerfield. He was the host, right?
That's right, yeah.
In fact, I got a newspaper route just to buy a VCR so I could film those because I wasn't allowed to stay up and watch them late at night.
Yeah.
But I did a little research on you and found out you were also in one of my favorite movies, The Money Pit.
Yeah, that was a great movie.
With Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
What was your part in it? I actually don't remember.
I kicked him out of his house. That's the main reason that they were rebuilding their other place, because he was living with Shelley Long, his girlfriend there, and I'm playing the manager of the maestro who is coming back, her ex-boyfriend.
Oh, right.
And he was coming back to the apartment, so that my scene was the opening scene of the whole movie, where I'm kicking Tom Hanks and Shelley Long out of their apartment. Mean guy.
Every time that comes on, we have a running joke. Whenever we see that movie on TV, we have to watch it.
It's a fun movie. Yeah, it was a great movie.
Back when Tom Hanks used to do a lot of comedy in that. But so I also remember that on King of the Hill.
Yes.
One of my other favorite shows.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good episode. But you actually did the voice for it.
I did. And it was an interesting... I never went anywhere. I did it over the phone.
Over the phone?
I know. Yeah, it sounds strange, isn't it? And they sent me a script, and they said, you know, we're doing this episode about Branson, and they wrote a bunch of jokes about, you know, Russia and Soviet Russia, and I was telling them that that's not really what I want to do anymore, so I will have to pass on this script. And they said, well, do you want to rewrite it and do whatever you wish? I said, yeah, that sounds fun. So I did rewrite it, and they went with it completely the way I wrote it. So.
Well, that's probably
what you saw.
With them, giving you
a lot of times it doesn't happen, but this time it did, and so they said, "Fine, let's do it," and I just phoned it in.
Literally,
literally, I didn't have to go anywhere.
But we've heard your history of coming to the U.S. in late '70s.
Yes,
right, and then you were on Night Court. You had.
I was.
Several episodes, right? That you were on
seven episodes
with Harry Anderson, who, as a magician, he's kind of an idol of mine.
That's
as well.
right. He's terrific. Yeah,
and that was another show that I was allowed to record. But
so I raised you.
You practically did. My parents will talk to you about that, actually. But you had a lot of television specials that you did, King of the Hill. Were you ever on The Simpsons? Did they do The Simpsons?
They did, but it wasn't my voice. They kind of they used my voice, but it wasn't me.
But you were the character, though.
Yeah, they were the character. Yeah, and so is Family Guy. They used my voice. I was the voice in the car. I was in Russia, car drives you. Yeah. But it wasn't me. It wasn't my voice.
But you're kind of getting away from that whole Soviet
comedy, very much so,
that's changed. But what do you think now? Do you think we're going back towards that a little bit?
Probably, but that's not interesting to me as much. excuse me, it was something that I didn't really realize how I fell into this whole paranoia of Americans about Soviet Russia. And so when I came here in the 70s, the Cold War was still pretty hot, and I didn't realize that any of that. I just thought that I was hardworking, funny guy, and that's how I got so many breaks. No, it was more because the tension was there, and I was like the aspirin trying to releasing the tension. So people saw me as this likable guy, and it was a way to kind of say, are we afraid of this? Were we crazy? So I did that, and that was how I became popular.
Right. So you filled that whole void, and especially when Reagan was president, and you got to perform for him.
Yeah, several times. Yeah, became good friends with him too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But that all changed with the David Letterman top 10. And
yeah, it all kind of crashed down to the place where the Soviet Union collapsed, and Letterman had the top 10 list of things that now will change. Mm-hmm. And I made number 1 on the list.
You must have been so proud.
Yeah, I was proud. Yakov Smirnoff will be out of work. Uh-huh. And at first I thought it was funny, but then it wasn't, because 6 months later, all of my contracts in Vegas, Atlantic City, Reno, Tahoe, everything was not renewed. Mm-hmm. So I had to find a place where they did not know that the Soviet Union collapsed. And
probably still don't.
I don't think they care, and so I'm here. I'm in Branson last 23 years.
23 years. But that is changing because you just announced that this is your last season.
Yeah.
And you told me you're done December 3rd.
3rd, right.
December 3rd. Now, you're going back to California, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of already lived there now. Last 3 years I've been, I was here full time for 20 years, and then last 3 years I only come here for 2 months. Mm-hmm. So I already have a place there that I really like, and I'm doing a lot of projects there that I need to be there full time to complete that.
Hoping to get back into television?
Yeah, I think so. I'm doing a PBS special that will, it's a 1 hour special that I'm filming on January 9, and that will kind of reintroduce me back into the mainstream, and then hopefully Dancing with the Stars this spring. Yeah. If that works out, that will be another way to kind of show because I haven't been there, and they don't know what I look like. They might think I'm in a walker, and ready to retire or whatever. So it would be nice to kind of show up and say, hey, I'm still healthy and strong and want to do a lot more stuff.
Is your PBS special, is that going to be like a stand-up type thing?
It's a pledge drive, so it's a little bit of a mixture of motivational speech or a keynote speech with comedy. Right. And it's called Happily Ever Laughter. Mm-hmm. So it's very much on something that I've been working on the last 20 years on kind of a scientific research on connection between happiness and laughter, and how laughter can be a gauge of happiness.
Right.
So that's what I've been passionate about for the last 20 years, and now it's finally going to be on television, and depending how it does, if it does well, then it will become my brand, and if it doesn't, I'll have to go back to a drawing board,
Right. Are you you were teaching at MSU, right?
Uh-huh.
Are you still doing that?
Not this year. I didn't, but I'll probably end up teaching at UCLA or USC, somewhere there. I'm planning to get my PhD also. That's another ambition of mine, to do more research on this topic. Mm-hmm. So I'm going in December to Berkeley. You see Berkeley and see how they'll respond to this concept. So,
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, a lot of things going on.
Yeah, but you do quite a bit. You were talking about back to the drawing board. That reminds me of your art that you have.
Yeah.
You have a gallery here at the theater, and you plan on keeping that here?
Yeah. It's a lot of paintings, so I have no place to take them to.
Can you store them?
Not at this point, yeah.
Right.
But also it's still my theater, so even though I'm not here, my son is actually start performing, and he is performing in my show right now. And then he'll be hosting the Acrobats of China show.
Right.
So it's kind of leaving paintings with him sounds fine with me.
Right.
You know?
I know I've had some people ask me, so the theater is going to stay the Yakov Theater?
At this point, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So you plan on keeping the name here, but so your son's been performing and hosting the Acrobats,
and performing in my show. Yeah.
Does he? So he has ambitions of following in your footsteps.
You know what? You never know. When he's 22 years old, he seemed to be getting laughs. He's enjoying performing. He's done every show since he started. He didn't skip any, so that tells me that that he's enjoying it. So,
right.
Yeah.
But you've been here for so long, and I always try to ask people that have been in Branson for a while, how has the Branson scene really changed? What are some major changes that you've seen in terms of the shows that we have? I know years ago I always thought it was more of a country type atmosphere, but it seems like now we're getting. Well, we have the Acrobats of China.
Yeah, more like family entertainment. Yeah, I think that, it's a good place where you can have Acrobats of China or Japanese Fiddler and Bold Knobbers all at the same spot,
All on the same day.
Yeah. So it's a nice mixture. Mainly it's family entertainment. It just happened to be that country music was that domineering factor here, but I think that Branson is going through certain change, and which is natural because the demographic is changing big time, and the baby boomers are coming in and they want to be in the van. They don't want to be on the bus, and so they want to be in the SUV. And they'll go to whatever. They might not go see as many shows as we used to. So all of that will adjust itself. I'm very optimistic about Branson's future because I think it just needs a young talent. Like, look at what's happening here. I mean, starting with, let's say, Acrobats of China, these guys are on the level of any Circus LA you could see. I mean, they're fantastic, right? So then you look, let's say, Hey Goods, they're fantastic. You look at, Dutton's or family or Hughes family. They're all great shows.
Right.
So Branson's not going away. It's just transitioning from maybe main headliners that were here for a while, and then it will be more, family entertainment. And then if headliners discover it and say, hey, I don't want to be on the road anymore, I want to sleep in my own bed, they'll come again.
Yeah. We've had a lot of headliners, though, just in the 10 years that I've been here, comedian-wise, that have come here and it just doesn't work out. They've tried because I think Branson has a certain, the wholesome quality, of course, here.
Yeah, true.
And they just think they're going to be the alternative.
Yeah. No, it doesn't work. Yeah. No, I think when in, Paris do what they do, right? Or when you in France, you do what they do. And when you in Branson, you do what they do here.
Right.
And that's, I've been very lucky when I came here. It was kind of an emergency landing for me because I didn't really know what else to go because my kids were little and there was no income coming from different places. So I found it by chance, really. But it's been a great home for me, and it became a laboratory for me for developing my new whatever is going to be happening for next 30, 40 years. And I am very excited about that. So it's a great town that does need a persona that can fit here.
Right.
If it doesn't work.
Yeah. I had big misconceptions. When I came here, my entire act, I had converted it to country. And I came here and I said, I'm giving this a shot. I had like chaps and the cowboy hat. And at the showboat, they're like, we don't
like that.
We don't have to do that.
That's right. That's right.
But you were talking about Dancing with the Stars, and how do you feel about the reality shows that are out? The America's Got Talent. Do you think those are really talent competitions?
You know what? If they're on television and somebody's watching and they're enjoying it, I'm not gonna. I don't watch much television.
Yeah,
I do not, and so I can't criticize or comment either. The reason Dancing with the Stars, in my opinion, is something I would want to do, is because it's really a unique concept of. Well, Voice has that same concept, only it's people who can sing. These people, I don't sing. So for me, I do enjoy dancing. So it's really testing your strength, your character, and people can watch you, and it's done respectfully. You're not ever being
humiliated.
Yeah, and I think that's very important. So if I wouldn't be interested in, like, Apprentice is not interesting to me because of that. And it's like somebody's got to lose big time. Even though here you voted off at some point, you go home, but you gave it your best shot and you're doing it in a professional way. And I would be delighted to be on that show.
Yeah, I agree with that, because America's Got Talent has contacted a lot of entertainers here. And they contacted me and I said, they tried to convince me, you make it to the end, you're going to be a star.
Yeah.
And I said, but one person makes it to the end, everyone else fails. And that's one of the shows where it's almost, well, I know for a fact, they try to recruit acts that they can humiliate pretty much, or that will get people talking the next day. And I don't really appreciate that very much. So.
No, I don't.
But it's changed so much, especially with music as well as comedy, but people think that is the epitome of entertainment. After my show, I'll get people all the time that say, you should go on America's Got Talent. I say, I have a job.
That's right. That's right. What is that going to do?
Why would I want to do that?
Right.
But I noticed the last time I watched your show, you were working on some of your relationship material in the show. You used to do a lot of politics in the show, too.
I used to, I don't do that anymore. It's not interesting to me anymore. It seems like it's too shallow, because I believe, and I'm not, again, critical. There's plenty of people who cover political material. I just feel very excited about trying to understand the way human relationships work. Because, to me, it's the last frontier of everything. Because we still... We conquer, we go to the moon, but we don't know how to say hello to our beloved, and so that's kind of what I believe that is very much needed, is somebody who understands humor, laughter, comedy, all of those things, because a lot of people don't see the difference. They all call it humor, laughter, comedy, all the same thing. It's totally different. And so understanding that and putting kind of a scientific approach to it, I don't think anybody have done that before.
Right. And do you think that's the biggest problem in relationships, is the lack of
laughter? No, it's laughter. Laughter is an indicator. Laughter is just like in your car. The gauge is not the biggest problem. The problem is when you don't put gas in the tank.
Right.
That's when you're stuck in the middle of the road. And most people are not aware how to put gas in the tank of relationship in a way. So we do it in the beginning, but then we don't know how to repeat that.
Right.
So it's like if your car came with a full tank of gas first, right? Yeah. And then you never refilled it. You would just have a nice
short
a plant. I don't know, what would it be? Just a place to sit in the middle of the road. I don't know. And that's what relationships look like.
Yeah, I think that happens a lot with relationships. I also studied psychology, and I think that happens a lot. Once it's the old story. Once you get married, and you kind of coast after that.
Yeah.
There's no more trying to impress the other person.
Yeah. So what what relationship works like that? Business relationships don't work like that. You could try to show up one time for your show and then phone in some. I don't feel like it.
If I was on King of the Hill, I could do that.
That's it.
Yeah.
And you do it once. That's it.
Right.
But normally you normally take care of what you have a relationship with your pets, plants, all of that require some kind of maintenance. Otherwise,
and cultivation.
Yeah. Otherwise, you come back and there's nothing there,
Right.
and that's what happens.
What inspired you to get into that?
I went through a divorce, and I realized that laughter was gone way before everything else. So I saw the correlation. Laughter was first. It's like early detection. And then second was intimacy, and third thing was your house.
Right.
In that order. So it's
I've
like,
been there.
yeah. So the point is, like, why wouldn't you see that laughter was gone?
Right.
And if you and we're doing comedy, right? So if our audience is not laughing at one joke, we're thinking, the moment we get off stage, say, okay, what went wrong there?
Right.
And then we fix it.
We try.
Most of the time we fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we wouldn't sustain what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then if laughter would be gone from the relationship at some point, you could fix it if you knew what was wrong. Most people are not aware, and that's why I was so excited to get into this field. Went back to college, got my master's degree in psychology. So now I'm considering doing a PhD program because I believe that somebody's got to figure this out and bring it to the mainstream. So people are they don't know at this point. But if you give them those tools, some people will use them.
Do you believe in counseling for relationships? Someone once told me that counseling was just getting divorced more slowly.
I think you're right. Then there's this really great psychologist, John Gottman. He is in the University of Washington State, and he has been doing this for many, many years. And he predicts or says that normally a couple goes to counseling about 6 years too late.
Right.
So I want to get to them way before that. I want to get to them through television, through sitcom, through whatever form it's supposed to be, whether it's a book, whatever, with humor. Right. And then once they recognize, oh, wait a minute, oh, we're not laughing anymore. What happened? Then go to counseling, not 6 years later.
Right. Yeah.
But so the answer is yes. I think it can work if the counselor understands how to deal with the problem. A lot of counselors don't.
Right. No, I totally agree. And you, so you're looking at. Do you have a book out on it yet?
Not yet. Not. I attempted to write it several times and didn't feel I was ready.
Oh, okay.
I've
attempted to write a lot of things.
No. I have a couple of other books that I wrote, but they were ready, and this one was not, and still not. But hopefully next year or two it will be. Well, this PBS special is kind of forcing it because they are very interested in very much research-driven humor.
Right.
So it's not just jokes.
Yes.
About relationships. This is very much based on research. So, and then jokes are kind of like a gift wrap,
right?
And then you can deliver the material that way.
I've heard you say on eHarmony and all those that women say they want somebody with a good sense of humor.
Yes.
And I agree. And then you show up at their window dressed as a clown in the middle of the night and it's all police reports.
What's wrong? Yeah,
know,
exactly. How did that? And you did the right thing. I know. Your Honor, I mean, she wanted somebody to make her laugh.
I tried.
Yeah.
I tried. So, not many more shows left, you said. How many more shows do you have?
24 shows.
24 shows.
24.
And are you changing the show for these last 24? Are you trying anything new?
Well, we're switching to Christmas show, and every show I'm doing a little differently because this is my last opportunity to have this fantastic audience to test this thing. And then I'm also doing some churches during this time before I leave. That I just did one at the Catholic Church, Lady of the Lake. That was a few days ago, and that was really well received. And what it's giving me a block of time, because the special is an hour special, and in my show they didn't come here for a keynote, you know. So I can't test it the way I would test it in front of the audience when I film it. Right. So this church audience is allowing me to kind of run the show the way it will be aired.
Right.
And so I'm going to do one at the United Methodist Church and another one in, I forgot.
Another church.
Yeah, another church, yeah.
Another church. So a couple questions I always ask comedians. Who do you think, do you have any favorite comedians right now that are out, that are popular right now, that you follow? Do you watch comedy?
Yeah, Jim Gaffigan,
Oh, yeah.
like him a lot. Obviously, I like Jerry Seinfeld a lot.
He had a TV show. Did you ever?
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, yeah, I think it did well.
I think it did okay.
Yeah, and so he is a good model of somebody who stayed clean and true to what he believes in, and continued to be successful all these years. You know, so.
Same thing with Jim Gaffigan.
Yes, very much so. Yeah,
Brian Regan.
Yeah.
I don't know if you follow him or not.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, he talks about that. He said, my life, it just doesn't make sense to do adult, dirty type thing. It just doesn't make any sense.
Which is wonderful. But boy, I'm back in Comedy Store now, and I'm the only one. Well, there's another guy, Argus Hamilton, who is, he's there, and I love following him because it's like, otherwise, once you get into, you're following Pauly Shore or you're following, Joe Rogan or whatever, it becomes, it's a lot different, you know.
It would be.
But I'm holding my own, and it's interesting to see that here, people come to see me, and there they come just to see comedy. And so it's really a test. Can you hold your space? Can you do? You're only doing 15 minutes, but boy, it's intense because you're performing in front of 25-year-old kids who are there in the audience, who grew up on F this at whatever, and so they're expecting it.
Right.
And here comes an older guy and doesn't say any of those bad words and still gets as many laughs or more than the other ones.
Right.
So they actually appreciate it, even though they're shocked, but then I was flying back to Branson here, and I did a show that Saturday night, and this gentleman, elegant looking guy, like maybe 28, 29, he said, my girlfriend and I were at the show last night, and we voted you the best comedian there. And they were like, Chris D'Elia and Joe Rogan, and I mean, they were big names, and they were in their little thing because it was intelligent, and it was funny, and it was clean, and we really thought it was very impressive.
Yeah.
So
now you had, correct me if I'm wrong, but you had a roommate years ago that was kind of the opposite of your style, who also was the reason I got detention several times.
You kidding?
Quoting
oh, really?
some nursery rhymes.
Shame on you.
That was a terrible...
Shame on you, yeah.
In first grade.
Yeah, well, Andrew Dice Clay, we were roommates for 3 years. 3 years. 3 years together, and... again, people ask me about him. He is a nice guy. I really like Andrew, and he got definitely tempted by HBO to go this route because his initial material was very clean. It was all, he was doing impressions of Sylvester Stallone and John Travolta, and he was really good at that.
Yeah.
And Elvis, he was really good at that. But then HBO, he did the Young Comedian special, and he did those nursery rhymes. And they loved it, and they offered him a special, the whole hour special, and then he cranked all this stuff. So, and that, the rest is history, but he would sell out Madison Square Garden in those days.
He tried to get away from that character some, didn't he?
I don't know if he did.
Just a few years ago, I thought he was on
maybe
Howard Stern or something, trying to get away from that
I
a little
don't
bit.
know. Yeah.
But did you ever do the Comic Relief?
Yeah, first one actually. Yeah, I did the first
Robin
one. Robin and Whoopi and Billy Crystal. Yeah, yeah, I did.
Now, was that before or after Moscow on the Hudson?
It would have to be right after, because I don't remember what year it was, but Moscow on the Hudson was very early. It was like 81. So, yeah, I was barely speaking English, and all of a sudden I'm in this major movie. Yeah.
Was that when you knew you kind of made it?
I don't think so. I think Miller Lite commercial is when it really hit big. Yeah, because it was all of a sudden I was everywhere, and just one joke, and it was really popular. And then I got a Tonight Show, so because of the Miller Lite commercial and the White House and all of that stuff was happening because of the Miller Lite commercial. Right. So it's kind of hard to believe that. But that's what it is, Well,
there
it's
you
very
go.
popular,
All because of Miller Lite.
Yeah, it's Miller time. There you go.
Well, here we are in Branson, though, and come out and see Yakov before December 3rd.
Yes, please.
2015. And I want to thank you for talking with me.
You're welcome.
It's really nice to
Good
be able
job.
to sit down
Yeah, I enjoy talking to you.
All right. Well, come out and see Yakov here at the, what theater are you at?
The Yakov Smirnoff Theater.
There you go.
Yeah, and still stays that way. So, yeah.
It'll still be here in Branson when you listen to this. So come by and say hi. I'm Chris.
And if I'm not here, just come and see the gallery, and you'll see the essence of Yakov.
Yeah, the gallery is amazing, actually.
Thank you.
But thanks a lot for talking to me, and thanks for listening to All Things Branson. This is Christopher James with Yakov, and bye-bye. Thank you for supporting All Things Branson. Be sure to subscribe and stay in touch on Facebook and Twitter. Check back at allthingsbranson.com for the latest news about Branson, Missouri.